Besnik Had.
You did great.
There we go.
You did great.
It's the founder and CEO of Salesflow.io. So why don't you give us a brief description of what your business does?
Well, in short, we support, some 10,000 SMEs. So predominantly focused on B2B businesses. So we enable for them to generate leads and opportunities by using a multi-channel engine for prospecting. So we work with predominantly, sales teams and, growing startups to grow their business effectively through technology.
And talking of growing your business is growing really fast, isn't it? Just give us a quick idea of scale.
Yeah. Well, we're a team of 30 globally at the moment, but we are focused on efficiency and, with how do we grow without, looking to increase overheads and beyond. So, yeah, in short, we've grown, doubled almost, 50% year-on-year growth. And that's just, done purely, bootstrapped and efficiency and unit economics and just focusing on how do we hone down our scalability with the right technologies and so forth. So
you're a working kind of case study of how you use technology to scale without adding too much cost. Just thinking, obviously, as you said, you've got a global team, 30 people, but you're growing really fast. How have you done that? What technology solutions have you put in place, besides your own, to be able to grow rapidly whilst keeping headcount quite low, which is really important in this market where talent costs more than ever before?
I just think things are changing dramatically now. So what's in fashion is how we can grow a business at scale without trying to just, keep hiring people to do all the manual work that a lot of solutions out there can. That's the whole purpose of software and having the right tech stack is how can you be more effective and efficient. So I think one of the key things that of many, but, a few that come to mind is actually how do we have a streamlined workflow across all departments? Streamlined, so you're talking about also a single source of truth of data across our CS teams, customer success, support, sales, development, and back to finance and all the figures that align to what we're trying to do effectively. So I think with that, we're using tools like, I could branch out, there's 3001, but they all work together. A lot of it, what we do is we focus on how, even if there's missing pieces in your workflow, we have even custom APIs to make sure that all that data is synchronized so that if there's no cracks in our workflow, in our delivery. So, Zapier, a lot of people use it. It fills any gaps that ultimately you want. But ultimately, we also have, Amazon Web Services, very simple, but we create custom models to be able to store data correctly. So then it resyncs. Or we use things like Segment, like for single source of data. So you send it only to Segment that allows you to then transfer all the data to all other apps, right? Customer relationship management platforms are the central piece to your contacts, to your customers, to your repository of data that you have about your customers overall, right? Ultimately, everything's centralized around your customers. So I think it's important that you take it really seriously as opposed to just a sales hub. Actually, it's a hub of understanding your customers to then use that as a feedback loop for the future, whether it's product or improving quality of your customer service, perhaps. So it's really around that. Obviously for us, we've used HubSpot over time, for instance, and we kept it. I know there's many new tools that come out, but HubSpot's done well in regards to us using it for scale.
Mm-hmm. And that saying, nobody gets fired for buying IBM. And, I feel like everyone's got skin in this game because you're going to say, yeah, go for the disruptors, whereas these guys might say, go for the trusted incumbents. But is there any value in trying something, a smaller company that's still scaling? Perhaps it's a bit less well known because it's cheaper, frankly?
Oh, it's my favorite. That's like the biggest joy of being a founder of a business is that you're playing with gadgets of new technologies, basically. For instance, I was in San Francisco in June, a AI summit, for instance, and I want to be involved in the front runners of new trending technologies and how else we can scale effectively, for instance. And so there's many tools, and I think it's really important that you can use a lot of this new technologies as a competitive advantage that your competitors might not even have because you're doing something better. Half the cost, maybe you can give more discounts because your margins still remain the same, for instance. So absolutely, I think it's actually important for SMEs to do it because you can have the edge over conglomerates.
But to do it safely, I guess, is the key point.
I think it's important that when you're doing your selections of what you use is who's your customers and what's the purpose behind the tools that you use. Because a lot of people can be misled and you end up investing in a tool that you're just going to be wasting a lot of time and money. How many people are using ChatGPT right now? Great. And what about the paid version? Okay, a lot less. So for instance, one of the things that we've had in our companies, we offer paid for all of our team members, period. Let's start to basics, for instance. So that's the first thing I'm just going to suggest is you got to be using it for everything. Very simple. I know there's a lot of other tools out there, but one that just sort of has become a nature of habit is that.
When you say use it for everything, what do you mean?
I mean, for literally everything. From proofreading your client negotiations and ideation, perhaps, to all the way to, hey, how can I do some data analysis? If you're using the reasoning, some of our, 4.0, now there's a new, deep research that they've released, which is on the paid version, for instance. Like, you'd be astonished the level of analysis. You're getting FP&A level financial advice here. So if we're talking about costs and access to, corporate resources that SMBs just simply don't have, you need to begin there. So that's my first tool. And others would be like, when you're selecting tools, they don't always have to be net new. You have to look at how innovative are the existing businesses, like, you mentioned it in Dropbox, and they're innovating in the AI of search, for instance. But it's the same for like Salesforce. They released Agentforce, for example. And they don't tailor to just B2B. There's a lot of, how do restaurants leverage customer service and queries to better, solve a lot of the queries that might come from brick and mortar businesses, all the way to B2B. So I think focusing on the roadmap of existing systems that you guys are aware is another consideration I would add.